Repeating decimals to fractions. This is a digital lesson. It walks through students through the steps of changing a repeating decimal to a fraction. It's a little bit tricky, but it breaks it down into 4 steps for the students. So step 1, and you want to go through these slides with the students before they go on their own, is just set that repeating decimal equal to x. It can be any variable, but we're going to use x. Step 2, we're going to multiply both sides of the equation by a power of 10. So the exponent is going to equal the number of digits that repeat. So if one digit repeats, we're going to multiply both sides of the equation by 10 to the first power. If 2 digits repeat, we multiply times 10 to the second power, and so on. So it gives an example of students how to do this. So here we have our equation. One digit repeats, so we're going to multiply both sides of the equation by 10 to the first power, which is just 10. And that'll give us 10x equals, and then this just moves the decimal point when they multiply by 10, moves the decimal point one place to the right. And then we're just going to add another 5 because the 5 is repeating. Step 3. Now we're going to subtract x from both sides of the equation. Now this is a tricky step because on the left-hand side here, we're just going to subtract x. Will give us 9x. On the right-hand side, well, we know that what x equals because we set up the equation on step 1. So x equals 0.5 repeating, and that's what we're going to subtract. So slide 7 shows how to do that. This equals x, so we know we can subtract x on the left-hand side and 0.55 repeating on the right. What that does, it eliminates the repeating part of our equation. So we get 9x on the left-hand side and 5, whole number 5 on the right. And then we can go ahead and solve for x, and we get our answer of 5/9. Now, some more examples starting on slide 8. Now, this is what the students are going to have to do. So you want to go through this again with the students. This is already filled out for them right before they're going to have to do this on their own. So here we start out by setting the repeating decimal equal to x. Step 1. How many digits repeat? 1 digit repeats. So we're going to multiply by 10 to the first power. So these two numbers have to be the same. Multiplying by a power of 10, 10 to the first power is just 10, so that's all they have to type in is 10. And we end up with 10x equals, move our decimal point one place to the right because we're multiplying by 10, and then we can add an additional 8. Now we're going to subtract x from both sides. Well, we know what x equals because we set x equal to this decimal on the very first slide. So when we subtract x, we're going to get rid of that repeating part. We get 9x equals 8, divide both sides by 9, and we get an answer of 8/9. Okay, slide 12, you want students to start doing this on their own. So if they're ready, they can try to do it on their own if they're a little more advanced. If not, you can do this with the students. So the first thing is to set up the equation. And if you type this correctly, x equals 0.36, that repeating line will already be there. How many digits repeat? And so on. And you're just going to go, you can go through this with the students or let them try it on their own. And then we've got a few more problems to solve. So they're going to follow these steps every single problem, and they can go back and look at previous slides if they forget how to do this. When you get to slide 23, make sure that you look at this ahead of time because this is a tricky part here. So we're going to take this decimal and look at the teacher slides that are completed before you do this with the students. So we're going to have a fraction with a decimal in the numerator. First thing you're going to do is simplify it. So the simplified version will be here. And then we're going to multiply numerator and denominator by 10 in order to get rid of the decimal that's only in the numerator, and then simplify. So make sure you familiarize yourself with this slide on the teacher slides. And then they have a challenge problem. See if the students can do this on their own. This time they have 3 repeating decimals. When they get to the final slide, now they're just going to put the steps in order. This is pretty simple, but it reinforces for the students step by step. So the first thing they're going to do is set their decimal equal to x. So they just click and hold and they can move this into place. Multiply by a power of 10, second step. Subtract x from both sides, third step. And then solve for x, the fourth step. Okay, so this is digital lesson of repeating decimals to fractions. There's also a worksheet and a foldable included in the lesson for further practice.